In today's video, I'm going to go over whether or not you should study interior design and whether it could be the right career choice for you. So stick around if you want to know more. So first off, to get the first misconception out of the way, interior designing and interior decorating are two different things. So what you see on those shows is interior decorating and not interior designing. An interior designer and an interior architect are sometimes used a little bit interchangeably. So you will also be doing a lot of technical drawings, and you can also decide to tear down a wall. You can do some of the things that an architect can do, and you're going to be working really close with an architect. So there are a few different fields you can work in, and only one of them is residential design. And to be honest, a lot of the jobs aren't actually within residential design. So I have had a few jobs in the past in commercial design and so retail design, which is where a lot of the jobs are at, or workplace design as well. Then there's also hospitality design. I will write all the design fields that there are on the screen. Most people will work in workplace design or retail design. So now that that's out of the way, so what you will actually be doing is you will be first working on concepts. You will create concept boards and sometimes mood boards as well. You will pick out samples and you will pick out furniture, and you will make a schedule of that furniture just so that that furniture can be ordered. And also you will be liaising with suppliers. So sometimes you will have suppliers come into the office and then they're going through their newest product range. And then you will be doing a lot of work in 3D. So you're going to be modeling, and then you're also going to do a lot of actual planning, whether that is in 2D or in 3D. That is where the majority of time is spent at as an interior designer. And then you will be creating really lovely visuals as well that you are then going to touch up in Photoshop. And you're also going to be creating client presentations, and a little bit further down the line in your career, presenting to clients as well. So there is quite a nice variety. There is quite a lot of softwares that you need to know. AutoCAD and SketchUp are the most widely used. The majority of the time is going to be spent at your desk. You're likely going to be working in an office at a design agency. The most common ways of working as an interior designer is either as an in-house interior designer, and then another way is in an interior design agency. So that is usually where a lot of designers come together. I actually worked in design agencies for the past 2 years, and we would always work across professions. So we would always work with a team of graphic designers as well. And every job will look slightly different. So for example, my first job was in a design agency where we had UI and UX designers, we had motion designers, we had graphic designers, we had interior designers. In my second job, we only were interior designers and graphic designers, but then we had an in-house build team. Now to move on to some pros and some cons. So obviously the biggest pro is that you get to be creative. And what I like about interior design is that the projects are often a lot shorter than they are for architects. So they have a quicker turnaround, and I feel like you get to be a little bit more creative because of that. Just because if you have one project and you don't like it, you know in 6-10 weeks there's going to be another project. Whereas when you are an architect, you usually work on a project for years. But again, even here there is variety, because what can happen is that you work in rollout or in shorter campaigns, and campaigns usually have a really quick turnaround, and it usually has a limited budget and it just needs to be installed quickly. And then another way is that you get to do individual projects. So you hop from one project to the next and you've got different clients. That is quite a nice way of working. That's sort of what I imagined interior design to be like. Moving on to the next pro, no day really looks the same. A lot of the time, yes, you will be sitting at a desk, but even those days look slightly different. Sometimes you will be searching for materials, sometimes you'll be doing a sketch, sometimes you'll be working in Photoshop to touch up your renders, sometimes you'll be modeling, you'll work with different softwares, and that is really what I love and enjoy about interior design. It doesn't get boring very easily. Like, it's really versatile. Sometimes you go on site as well, and I quite enjoy those days as well, just because you get up from a desk. But to be honest, I would say it is quite rare to do that, especially when you're first starting out. You're just going to be actioning out something, and usually more senior designers have a more client-facing role. Another pro is that you get to work with like-minded people, and I've met some amazing people during my time working as an interior designer. Everyone enjoys being creative, and it's nice because you already have one thing in common that you enjoy. Another pro is that you get to live out your passion, and you get to create beautiful spaces that other people get to enjoy. And at the same time, usually the company that you work for also cares about beautiful spaces, so you will likely get to work in a really nice office as well. Then another thing that can be a pro or a con is that you will really closely work with other people. So usually a project is always a group effort. It's so hard for one designer to just do it all. So you will be working with other people, and that can be actually really, really nice because not all the work falls on you. But obviously you need to be the type to enjoy doing projects with other people. Even if it is your project, you will then also have to work with graphic designers, with architects, with the builders. So now moving on to the cons of being an interior designer. The environment is quite stressful. It is a very high demanding job. It's a job with a lot of deadlines. The client will have deadlines, you will have a lot of internal deadlines, you will have a lot of meetings to meet those deadlines, and sometimes the deadlines can be quite tight. So it is generally a very, very stressful job, and you will have to work really quickly in order to get things done. A lot of the time it can also be really, really frustrating when people change their mind. So that can be internally or again from the client. When you try out a few things and then you go back to the original design, that can be really, really disheartening. Another con is that you actually will likely have to do a lot of overtime. This is a job where they expect you to give up a lot of your free time and where they expect you to spend all your time at work. Obviously that depends on the company, and this again is generalizing, but generally interior design, just like architecture, is a job where you really, really need to commit, and you need to spend a lot of hours because sometimes projects don't go the way that you want them to, so then you have to do last minute changes. Another con is that your work will get criticized constantly. This is something that you shouldn't take personally, but I personally struggle with that. And so I know it can be really, really hard. Basically, you will do a project, you will then show it to your supervisor, and then they will go through all the things that they want changed. So you will have a lot of that in your day-to-day. You will have a lot of feedback, and you will basically just constantly get a list of things that you will need to change. And that is what the everyday of this job is like. There is not a lot of positive feedback, usually only once you've completed a project. So you have to be prepared to just get a lot of negative feedback every day. If you're not good with constant criticism and nitpicking, this might not be the right job for you. Another con is that, especially at the beginning, you don't really get to make any creative decisions. That is usually left to more senior designers, people that have been at the company for a while. You just action out that feedback. So that's one thing to bear in mind, that it will likely at least take you 5 years, if not more, to actually be able to make some decisions. So when you are a junior and you're just starting out, you really do have to just action out what others tell you to do. Another con that ties into what I said earlier is that there really isn't a right or wrong, and because of that you can keep changing things, and there's no natural end to things. And that is also why there is so much overtime, because a lot of the time before a deadline things get tried out, things get changed, and then they get changed again, and then they get changed again, and then they might move back to how you were at the beginning. That is just what it's like. So it's important to just keep level-headed and let that not get to you. That pretty much sums everything up. So if you really have a passion for it, I would say go for it. but you do have to keep in mind that negative sides do exist with this job and that it can be a very stressful and demanding environment. But if you are up for that, then I would say absolutely go for it. At the beginning especially, it can feel quite hard because I think there's a really big difference between expectations and reality, which is why I'm making this video, because I think there is so much positivity about interior design out there, and I don't actually think it gives a balanced look onto things. Definitely, if you're wanting to become an interior designer, you need to be stress resistant and you need to know that there will be a lot of overtime. So let me know if you found this video helpful, and I will be back with another video next week. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, or any video ideas, as I want to film a lot more content about interior design. And yeah, I hope you found it useful, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.